I'm behind the chimney, which is above the headmaster's office, and this is what we call the gusset behind the chimney. This is a sheet metal flashing that deflects water that comes down the roof and channels it off to each side. This gusset was replaced probably, looks like maybe 10-15 years ago, whereas this gusset down here on the side is original. You can see the orange color to it. That orange color indicates that it's very old. It's beyond its prime for sure and in the process of failing. When it gets to be that orange color, it's almost as thick as aluminum foil. You can tear it with your fingers. And it develops holes and pretty soon it's leaking, which is the same kind of condition that the gutter is in general terms, the building gutter that surrounds the building. That has similar failures going on. But specifically with this chimney, we're trying to identify what exactly is causing the water to come in at that office location. And when we look at this, let's start with the gusset itself. You can see that there is a nail right here that is exposed. It should not be like that. Typically when you do a gusset like this, the fasteners are hidden and the seams are locked twice. This is not locked. This is just folded over. Someone squirted some caulk on it and put a nail on it. Well, that nail shank and that copper have separated, and it's oscillated over the years. You got an opening right here, so water's definitely getting in here. This is just not a good detail. This is not a solid sheet metal job at all. So we know that the gusset is questionable because of the nail, and you know, when you're relying on mastic in here to stop things, that's kind of questionable too. I'm hoping that this stays sealed for you and it doesn't open up over time. This return that comes up the back wall comes up to about here. So that should be sufficient as long as these overlaps are sealed. So that's another slight concern, the height of the gusset on the back wall. Then we move up the wall and we see that the mortar is really distressed here. Right above the flashing elevation, you can see you get quite a bit of deterioration in here. I can go in almost 1.5 inches in here, similar down here. It's wide open. Now, these chimneys, which stick up above the roof, there's some more openings here. They're going to get abused by the weather far more than the exterior walls that are below the eave, only because they're exposed to more harsh weather up here, and it's just over the 70-80 years or whatever it's been, I guess 1917, 70 years, it just experiences a lot of bad weather, which beats it up. So we've got all that going on from the gusset on up the chimney. And the bricks itself, I assume the brick is tight. Let's hope that's the case. And it's just a patch point job that's needed in here. And you know, these can be cleaned out and even caulked as long as you grind out enough to create a smooth surface, a dust-free surface. You can use caulk instead of mortar, which is a little quicker and easier and cheaper. You can do things like that. So that's the back side of the chimney. Now when we look on the other side, the roof side, when this was put back together with slate after the gusset was installed, you can see that you have a key right here. We call these keys the joints between the slates. You have a key right here, and it's only 2 inches from another key. Actually, it's less than 2 inches. It's probably 1.5 inches. And this is too close because water can get in here and across and down and get in higher than this lower slate, which comes up to about here. If you can track across this way, it's under the roof. So this is a bad slate job right in here. This is not going to work. Plus you have a nail right here. We put the slate back where it belongs. You can see how that might be vulnerable to have a nail that close to a key. Your nail's right here, and you can see it's open. I mean, there's nothing secure about that now, so there's that. Okay, so we move further up the roof. We've got whoever was here doing repairs put jack nails in right here and here. Now this side's been caulked. These are jack nails for people to hang roof jacks on so they can work up here. Just gives them a jack to put a board across and then stand on to work up this area. Whereas that side's caulked, this other side is not. The nails are not caulked here. I'll try and get over to show them to you here. Here they are, right there. You see those nails are just right between the key, right in the key, and they're open. So that's another problem. And all this stuff that lets water in, that tracks down the slope, can get in to that gusset area above the chimney, fireplace. So the best way to handle this at this point is to get inside. Here's another, I don't know where that hole is and how far it is before this ends, but all these things are questionable. Before we go into repairing any of this, or anybody tries repairs here, the best thing to do is to get into that attic when it's active. And I mean, there's a good storm going on. It's activating whatever's weak to leak, and identify exactly what the problems are. Then you can target your repairs and minimize your expense. So that's going to involve either a water test that we do systematically, in good weather, which is a little more accurate than watching it leak during a storm, or getting in the attic when there's a storm on. So those are the best options now for this rear gusset area. Come down this way just before we get off this subject, this chimney. You can see this, now this copper is starting to fail down here, turning this orange color, and that's a true indication that the flashing is completely worn out. You can see this this water table course up here, where there's a canted brick that expands the width of the chimney. You see that's really suffering. If you look down the line, you can see that's where a lot of the mortar loss is. It's just really getting beat up right on that water table. Okay. And this is a recessed pointing job. In other words, this was designed to be pointed in a recessed manner. Your pointing sits back about a ½ inch off the face of the brick, which just makes it a little more vulnerable over the long haul, which is what we have going on now. So you can just see that some of these mortar joints have started to crack, like this one right here, right across. It's completely cracked out. So there's a lot of questionable areas on this chimney, and the best way to identify what's causing the specific leak in the office is to get in the attic and try to activate it or observe it when it's active.